Okay, welcome to Dog People, a podcast about the Japanese punk bands Going Steady and Ging Boyz. I'm Bob. I'm here with my co-hosts. Introduce yourselves, boys.
Hi, I'm a boy.
He's just a boy. I'm just a girl. Or something.
Could it be any more obvious? It's Adam and Mike. What's up?
Sup?
Sup, sup.
Sup?
Yo, sup.
All right, well, another great intro down the pipe.
This one for the records.
All right.
We're good at this.
Off the top of your head, guys, name me any Going Steady and Ging Boyz songs that you can think of that have at least 3 versions. And we're not going with Beach. I'm not counting the live version. 3 versions, though.
Okay.
Should we just rattle them off?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Ginga Tetsudo no Yoru. I think that has like 4, maybe.
So that one's for sure 3.
Wakamonotachi? Is that only 2?
It's only 2. There's a lot of 2s.
Moshimo Kimi ga nakunareba.
Yeah, that one for sure has 3. That one has 3 because it's My Soulful Heartbeat.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then Sakura no Uta version, then the Ging Boyz version. So yeah, that one for sure. There's 3 more pretty obvious ones.
Oh, I Don't Want to Die? Is that also 2?
That one's just 2.
I was thinking there was a...
Well, this has to be making for some wonderful listening for people just listen to us think. So, I think there's a big one. One of their biggest hits. You guys probably have this on the tip of your tongue. We covered it even. Wink, wink.
Baby.
Baby. That's got 2 Going Steady versions.
I cannot believe I did not think of that. I'm such a baby.
Dude, you're a baby.
I'm the baby. Gotta love me.
So one other one, it's one of their earliest songs. It's You and I.
Okay.
That one had an early single version, album version. And then this one's a technicality. We talked about it a few episodes ago. It's Junanasai, which has 2 versions on one single and then the third one on the album. But there's another one of their songs that has 3 versions that I feel like is very slept on. I feel like a lot of people might not know about this one, so I wanted to share it.
世界の終わり来ても僕らは離れ離れじゃない世界の終わり来てもきっと君を迎えに行くよ
All right. That's the acoustic version of Yoryuoji Totsuki no Hime that was on a compilation called Tomodachi Ijo Koibito Miman Terebi Ika, which is like More Than Friends, Less Than Lovers, Less Than TV. And the name of the record label is Less Than TV. They're a Japanese punk label. So they put this weird compilation on. It has Breakfast, it has Your Song Is Good, and it has this one throwaway Going Steady deep cut that I thought was really cool to share. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today is just like weird deep cuts. And partially inspired by the new single coming out, Shonen Shoujo. Mike, you said you hadn't heard it?
You know what? I'll confess, I have not heard this single yet.
All right, we'll pull it up right now. We'll give it a little listen. It's worth hearing.
2005年の列車で悲しみを越えてなら少年は少女に出会う嫌いな一人ぼっちたち全と悪全部持って少年は少女に出会う Don't say goodbye Don't say goodbye Don't say goodbye
They're on their anime theme song shit. It's really cool.
Yeah.
What'd you think, Mike?
I was going to say right away, it feels like a very polished version of like Kimi to Boku no. But I'm not saying that is a bad thing at all. It's great in like the chorus melody when Mineta gets to that don't say goodbye. It's like it's so classically Mineta. It sounded like that part where like he is reaching up in a way where it feels like you want to release, you know, and he's going for it at the right time. And I'm down. I'm totally down. It reminds me a lot of the more like emo songs, or more like classically, I would say emo inspired songs on like Kimi to Boku no.
I think it's cool to see that this is a song that is shamelessly flaunting his natural gift for melody too. It's like it kind of might have a little bit of that emo-y tinge, but it's like it's so good. Like, why not just roll with it? Like flex it if you got it. What's it? Smoke them if you got them. There we go.
yeah. Totally. Roll him if you don't. I mean, it doesn't need to roll him. You know, he's got it.
Damn.
I mean, that's the thing, is that like the melody is really strong, and I think that is an integral part of a lot of Ginnan Boys music, is like a very strong melody connected to the chord progression as well, and this one as well feels really like it's a strong melody, really well connected to the chord progression that's going on.
The chorus has the little major to minor chord change.
Yeah,
I'm a sucker for that.
Same. It's such a good technique. Yeah, it just kind of it gives color in a way that appears suddenly.
Yeah, Adam, I'm curious what you think about the song.
I really liked it, actually. I thought that it sounded like it could have easily just followed up the first two albums that they put out, like Door and Kimi to Boku. I could have imagined that in that timeline, it just popping right in there, because it just has a very, like a straight Ginnan Boys feel to it. The only thing that feels like it's slightly not Ginnan Boys is the part where it changes rhythm in the second half of the song.
It still feels pretty Ginnan Boys to me, like it's got some emotive rhythmic emphasis, but I feel like they've always been pretty cathartic, and they're like Murai in particular is like such a emotive drummer, and like it still feels like it has that presence to me. And I was just thinking too, at the end there, watching it, animation reminds me a little bit of Lane, serial experimentation Lane.
I know what you're talking about. So it's funny, the guy who did the character designs for this show is actually Eguchi Hisashi, who did the Kimi to Boku album artwork. So it's all the little threads on our conspiracy board are all connecting right now.
Yeah. Actually, honestly, this song reminds me the most of Kimi to Boku no, of any of their work before, and that makes so much sense. It feels really connected to that particular feel of the Ginnan Boys.
Yeah, I agree. And I hadn't seen this video that you were sharing, Bob. I haven't seen that yet, but seeing all the little junior high school kids like that it's so, I don't know, there's something really, really sweet about that. It reminds me a lot of some of their earlier videos where they would show just normal people. I think Wakamonotachi shows a bunch of fans, just their faces front and center.
Yeah.
And this has a very similar feeling to that, except for they're so young, and just them being so young and in their school uniforms, and they look so happy and smiling and stuff. There's like a really kind of purity of youth in that. It's really nice. It was really cool. I don't know if that was a decision. Well, this music video, is it cutting together Sunny Boy like animation stuff and then just the Ginnan Boy's own stuff? Is that what's going on, or is this actually Sunny Boy?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. That was the vibe I got from it. It's on their official YouTube page, so I don't think it's like a Sunny Boy thing. But I'm sure there's some coordination. But they do the really cool thing where the anime faces turn and they all look at the camera, and then it transitions from that to like normal people's faces, and that was a really cool effect in the video for sure.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for that. That when it just shows like people, like a montage of people's faces like that, I'm kind of a sucker for that. Like the timing of this is kind of interesting because the Olympics are going on right now, and nobody here really wants them to be on, but we're all kind of reluctantly watching it here in Japan. And I didn't want to watch it or enjoy it at all, but there have been some like promo ads that come up once in a while on TV, and it just shows a whole bunch of people's faces as they're getting excited to watch the games. And especially the images of little kids who are just excited to watch their favorite athletes all coming together to do this thing. It made me realize that's what the Olympics is supposed to be. It's supposed to be this feeling where, we're all like kids joyfully kind of enjoying that stuff. And so that kind of changed my opinion about watching the Olympics. I kind of put myself in the perspective of my own children watching it, and remembered how excited I was when like the dream team went out to Barcelona and stuff like that, you know? So, so in that regard, like this captures that, like just showing average people smiling and stuff like that is just, it always kind of tugs my heartstrings. So it's really cool. I like that.
There was probably some terrible political thing weighing on older people in 1992 when the Dream Team debuted, you know, that we as children weren't aware of. So I totally see what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure. Bosnia for one, maybe. Yeah, and so like this, seeing this video kind of puts it into a different perspective for me from just hearing the song. The song, like I said, it sounds like a Ginnan Boyz like song through and through, so I enjoyed it in that regard. But like seeing the video, especially in combination with this animation and stuff, it's cool.
I wanted to point out real quick, there's a couple little nerdy references in the lyrics. There's a lyric in the chorus where he's talking about a 2,000 light year train. That's probably a Green Day reference. 2,000 light years away, I'm sure. And then there's a lyric about the kirei na hitori bochitachi, the pretty lonely people. And there's a Ginnan Boyz tribute album with the same title. So I'm sure that lyric, that phrase has been floating around Minetta's noggin for a while before debuting in this song.
Well, we're talking about lyrics. You probably already have this later to talk about, maybe, but what I find interesting is that one of the B-sides, I mean, the B-side of this is Yume de Aetara, acoustic version. And so, you know, the chorus of this one, he's talking about, you know, a boy meets a girl. And then the second one is about if I can meet you in a dream, and it's using the same kind of phrase. So, you know, and like the whole point of that song, Yume de Aetara, is like, even if we can't be together, I hope I can at least see you in my dreams kind of thing, right? So... yeah, you know, even if you have a boyfriend and you're with somebody else, I'm sad, but I'm happy that you're happy kind of thing. So that idea that the first one is about a boy meeting a girl and the second one is about like, you know, only in my dreams kind of thing.
You know, it's funny you bring that up. We talked to Minetta, and a lot of it was kind of about he wanted these universal topics in his music, but he's also kind of moving away from like outright teenage viewpoints, teenage emotions. And then this song kind of dips his toe right back into it. Yeah. In a really sweet way.
Yeah, and that was one of the things he said too, right? Is that it'll always be kind of that time in our lives is always sort of a raw nerve, like with everybody, right? So
yeah, for sure. I think we can put ourselves right back into those memories pretty easily, even if we don't feel the same way now. You still feel those same feelings in your memories.
Yeah, you might say that you can't escape those memories.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them feel very current still in some ways, you know? It's some things, time doesn't quite feel the same with everything sometimes.
Yeah, it's weird that kind of becomes like a base point for almost everything for like everybody in their lives. Like, you know, the fact that like the year 2000 seems like no matter how far we get from it, it will always seem like it wasn't that long ago, because that is kind of like the major benchmark of our lives, because that was when we were going through high school and stuff like that, you know? And
yeah.
I think in particular, you know, I've thought about this a couple of times, but I feel like our generation in particular is in a really strange spot where like the generation before us, like a little bit before, was really the last of the 20th century and was like the last really like with both legs in it, you know? And like, ours really feels like it's kind of one leg in and one leg out, and kind of transitional. And personally, I feel like that makes me feel really connected to the people of my generation, because I feel like it's something that people who are younger than us feel much more like naturally in the water of the internet than we do, you know? And I always feel like I have a bit of skepticism about it, because I'm like, this is a bunch of fucking weird companies making this, you know? And like, I know what weird companies these are, and like, I don't really trust them. And I feel like I'm stuck between worlds. And I feel like a lot of our generation is kind of like born between worlds. And you know, maybe this is pulling it back by hook or by crook, but I really think that is one thing I really love about Ginnan Boyz, is that it feels really between worlds. It feels like it always felt like it was between indie rock and punk, and then also like just this pure emotional release, and then also something that had really like reasoning and thought behind it as well. And it feels really like a liminal space that feels true to me in a way. Even if I don't always feel like I'm living in the emotional space that Ging Boy's songs are, it feels like it is a liminal space where you feel those emotions, and it feels to me familiar or true in some way.
Yeah.
We could talk all day about this microgeneration thing, man. I feel you on that, but I'm gonna jump off of that. What you said struck a chord, Mike, about the Ging Boys kind of existing between two worlds. One place they've always kind of like towed the line between worlds is, with like some very sweet, melancholy melodies and like really dark and perverted lyrics, or just kind of like confrontational, like unfiltered lyrics.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have heard this one. We'll see. It's called Asadachi, and it was on a compilation called Nyan Demo Nai Hini, with some little cat on the cover. Let's see if it shows the cover. Yeah, here we go.
外は雨僕らはなめくじゴロゴロのぬめぬめの
I like the little blues turnaround in the verses. It's a
that little.
I think it's like a melodic flavor that I've never seen Mineta really paint with. That I man, I really mixed metaphors there, but you know what I mean. It's
You painted with some nice flavors.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
No, but no, you're right. It's not like an element he brings in often, even though he like will harken back to like kind of old school rock elements sometimes. Like there's few like bluesy or like pentatonic parts or whatever.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up one little nerdy thing about this song. This is the only song I've ever seen where Mineta is billed just as Mineta Kazunobu on the credits of who the performer is, without any like fake band name attached or collaboration with someone else. So we talked a little bit about that. He doesn't want his name just to be the name, but this is the one time where it happened.
Yeah, but it's a compilation, right? So it's not like his face on the cover, like he was saying, where.
Yeah.
But this is one of those songs that he has where you feel like he's saying something deeper than he is, but he's literally just saying like, oh, if my dick doesn't get hard, it won't go in, and I like like it's not like it's standing up because I want to. It's just standing up on its own or something like that. Like, and I'm like, I wonder if he's trying to say something more meaningful with this, but I can't figure out what it would be if he is. It might just be him talking about morning wood.
There is one lyric that reading it, I was like, oh, that one kind of hit me. Tobacco smoke sinks in the morning light. It's like my funeral. And then love is wonderful, love is difficult. I was just thinking about that kind of quatrain, the four lines together. Really kind of, those four, you take them on their own is really pretty. I was like, fuck, that's heavy. It's great. That's what I come at lyrics sometimes for, To like the tobacco smokes and sinks in the morning light is such a visual image. I can picture a room in which it is AM and the sun has not risen past the horizon yet, and the light hits the room a certain way, and someone smoking a cigarette exhales and the smoke fills the room a certain way, and it is going to sink in a way that is visually evocative. And like just that combination of words, like a really evocative image, I thought.
the "It's Like My Funeral" lyric is probably super evocative for Japanese people because like they light the incense at funerals. That's probably the visual image of the smoke probably has to do with that.
And I think, Bob, this is something you mentioned before, but where he'll repeat a certain phrase a few times to kind of create a little slight variation in the meaning each time. So,
Yeah.
and he does that totally here because, I mean, he's using the exact same phrase, right? So the asa no hikari ni and asa no hikari ni, right? For both, like, your face melts in the
Yeah.
morning light. And then he's also saying marude something something. So it's just like this.
Yeah, looking at the actual kanji and everything, it is like each line starts out almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it like reveals where it's going as it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And just that little tiny variation. So the first one he says, you know, the way your face looks like it's melting in the morning light, it's almost like you'll forgive me. It might be a more accurate way of saying that. And then the second one is, you know, it almost looks like my funeral. So he's subtly changing the subject here. The first one, your face is melting in the morning light, but the second one is tobacco is wafting through the morning light, right? I don't know. It's interesting. It's a very...
I think you're both right, Adam. He starts the song out like, I'm all gross after sex and I have morning wood or this or that. And then he hits you with the crazy ass deep lyrics at the end. And I think it's kind of par for the course. I think Mineta's really good at kind of combining the bass and taking something bass and then elevating it to something really profound.
Well, finding a point in which everybody feels human. You
Yeah.
know, and like
That's a great way of
you
putting
know,
it.
like really finding that thing that, you know, you're an embodied person that feels this way, even if you don't want to. Sometimes, you know, like you've experienced something sort of like this, and it kind of, I think, you know, sometimes is about like just saying like it's okay to say that you feel this way sometimes, or that like you've experienced this, and you know, for better or worse sometimes, as we talked about with like Mesubuta. I think that song really like that song increasingly, like I'm just like I don't know how to parse that one exactly because it complicates everything, but
We're treading over over familiar ground on that one because that was the thing. I think that the conclusion we came to last time was that it's like, you know, I'm not saying that these are good thoughts; these are just thoughts that everybody has, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you know, I'm giving voice to them so they don't just lay there in the shadows, right, and stuff. So I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like he's certainly not championing any of these ideas. You know, he's just saying like these are like humanity is a very complicated spectrum, and there's really shitty sides of all of us and really good sides of all of us, and so that's something I think he's painting in this song, right? Like he's just saying like, okay, so like it's really hot right now. It's summertime in Japan, and so when he talks about like we're just a couple of slugs after the rain laying here, I totally can feel that, like, you know, like that feeling of laying there with your body all slimy, kind of like not wanting to move around, rolling around on the sheets and stuff. It's not like a pleasant image at all, but at the same time, it's kind of like this, he's voicing like that feeling where, you know, you're laying next to somebody after this, you know, act that's supposed to be of love, but it's just kind of this gross feeling where like, oh, we're just kind of laying around here. And, you know, like, yeah, I have a boner, but it's not like I'm choosing to that. I'm not trying to show you that I'm excited. I'm just kind of, it's a man's problem. You know, I don't know. It's a complicated thing that he's showing, and it's, I don't know. It's kind of,
But also really everyday.
yeah,
In a
yeah.
way, you know, like
Very mundane.
really simple. Yeah, I mean, really, I think that's kind of this almost like manga kind of element to it. You know, like the idea of just taking something that is like day to day and elevating that to a song.
Yeah.
I'll say out of all the songs that we will be bringing up, this is probably my favorite one that I rediscovered prepping for this episode. I was like, oh, this song's tight. I'm really into it. I'll make sure I'll send you guys the MP3s.
Yeah, I hadn't.
you.
I have to confess that I'd never heard this before. I didn't know it existed. So
Me neither.
Well, everything we just talked about with kind of the lyrical content is a perfect transition to this next song. This is a song that the Ginnan Boys played. They were playing it like summer 2003 live, before scrapping it and taking elements of it to make another song. This song is called Anoko wa Nakata ni Miki ga Suki, and a lot of the lyrics went onto the Ayanami Rei song. So yeah, let's hear it. Here we go.
I like that. I wish that they would have actually released that because it has a really, that sounds like Door, like one of the early songs on Door, for sure.
Yeah, I think
It does.
I think it definitely fits in with the few songs that really struck a chord to me. It sounds a lot like it could be like a Nippon Hakyo type song.
It's a really good melody and good it's a good song. It sounds good. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's my favorite era of, I think, Mineta's songwriting, is just because it was really, he was embracing the messiness of his, of those songs and like the chaos and stuff. And I really like them. And they were super playful at the same time. It was some of the most creative, I think, songwriting of, because it wasn't really concerned with like a linear melody or anything. It was just kind of, it all seemed very, I don't know, like id coming out on the mic for sure.
Yeah.
Lyrically, I thought it kind of had the same vibe as Nippon Hakyo and School Kill, even maybe Mesbuta, where like it's definitely told from the point of view of a character who's kind of a scumbag, but also kind of just observing, in this case, the girl, just kind of observing these characters around him. And it's I really like that era of Mineta's songwriting now that I look back on it and kind of see these threads coming together. I mentioned it a little before how these are kind of observing messed up characters, but at the same time he's writing songs like Seishun Jidai, where it's just observing, what it was like to be young and what happened to these people when they grew up. And I think something like how we've talked about how we felt something from the music even before we understood the lyrics. I think something like that, something of these lyrical themes, I think that carries through in the feeling of the music. You just feel the lyrics feel powerful in a way that translates into the music.
Yeah, and they're not as saccharine, like a lot of the ones, especially the more recent ones and I guess earlier ones as well, they are very, very kind of lovey-dovey, sweet kind of stuff. And I say that and it sounds like I'm coming down on them. I like the way that they are like that, but I think these are like more, I don't know. They're very unique in the way that the lyrics and everything is written. I haven't really heard much music like that. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mineta sometimes really doesn't hold back, huh?
okay, well here's a little link in these lyrics that connect to the song that you were playing before, Asadachi, because he's talking about when I look at the tissue. We sank in each room. That's not really what it means. It's like, tissue o mireba heya goto boku ra shizinda. So it's more like the whole room, including us, sank into wherever. And he mentioned that in the other song, right? Like about a tissue.
Yeah. He brings up tissue imagery in Dote So Young too. There's a lot of like the tissue being a stand-in for jerking off or cleaning up after sexual acts, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a shorthand for that. Yeah, for sure. You know what it is? It's like a shorthand because it's not a shorthand for sex. It's a shorthand for like the crass part of sex, like just the physical aftermath of sex, right? Just like
The clean up.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting in that way. Like it's almost like a memory of sex. It's like. And that's what he's using it here, like when I look at the tissue. So it's just kind of thing like, because it could almost be like we sink back into that room or something like that. But this idea that like tissue is something where you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that was the summation of our sexual experience,
That's really interesting. It almost reduces it to something in the past tense in that sense, or something that never even occurred, but only had like a after effect.
Yeah, and it shows that idea of sex as being this very static thing, and when it's all said and done, what you're left with is the only like tangible thing you're left with is a wadded up tissue. So, it's kind of interesting. It's a interesting imagery that he's using there for sure.
Yeah, very. I mean, we haven't really talked about too much, like really getting deep into like Mineta and sex. Like we've talked about like that through a lot of different angles, but we haven't really talked about how he deals with it directly. But in this song, it really does seem like it's like something that you desire, but then never actually occurs. It only has occurred in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
It feels not really like there's any sort of like there is any sort of satisfaction in the act itself. It's like the desire and then the post, and there's no present, it seems like a lot of the time.
That's really interesting when you say it like that, because yeah, this actually kind of like reminds me of like the discussion where we compared Mineta to Joe Matt, because it's the same kind of thing. It's like a pure desire-driven thing but it's not just like the act of sex. It is definitely like a connection that he's seeking after, and it's, people that he's kind of idolizing and stuff. But you're right, there are very few where there are songs where he talks about like love in the present tense, but it is still very much like a chaser kind of thing, or it's never just like this mutual love thing. It's always either him feeling inadequate and putting her on a pedestal, or it's him like looking at it as a purely base kind of thing, like, it's just sex and she's disgusting kind of thing, So there isn't ever like this mutual just feeling of, well, I guess I take that back, because when I think about songs like Kakunukete Seishun and stuff like that, there are songs where it's definitely maybe a love. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It's not necessarily. I guess when it comes down to the act itself, it feels often like it's sort of implied or desired, and then talked about in hindsight, and rarely like, it's a very present act, and it's a very, you talk about punk music is a very present and in the moment kind of thing, and it seems like a lot of Kina Boy's music is about reaching this thing that either has not yet occurred or has already occurred but has not yet done what you wanted it to do. And this like either delay of desire or not desire, excuse me, like delay of satisfaction, or like just can't get no satisfaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Although, I just got to say though, when I think about like somebody writing a song about like the sex in the present progressive tense, it's really weird.
Haven't you heard My Pony?
Huh?
My Pony. Well, I'm just saying, why aren't there more Gina Boy slow jams?
It'll happen.
Dude, this reminds me of my favorite joke ever about sex and grammar. So this guy goes on a business trip, and he turns to the guy next to him in the airplane, and he says, wherever I travel, I always try to make it a point to eat the local food. So here we're going to Boston. Do you know anything about the Boston, food culture? And the guy's like, oh yeah, I'm from Boston. What you got to do is you got to try scrod. Everybody, that's what everybody in Boston eats. And he said, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot while I'm there. So he, right when he gets off the airplane, he gets into the cab and he says, cabbie, you know where a guy can get scrod around here? And the cabbie says, I get that question all the time, but never in the pluperfect subjunctive voice. There's my favorite grammar joke. The funny part about that joke is that a cabbie would know what the pluperfect subjunctive voice is. It's my favorite part about that joke.
You delivered it well with the accent as well, the Boston accent, the Boston cabbie accent.
Wow. It reminds me of my favorite sex and grammar related joke.
I hope you have one.
Doesn't exist. All right. Anyway,
Say.
transition. Just to stick on the lyrics for another minute, there's some portions of this song that were just directly moved into Anoko wa ayanami rei ga suki. Like there's the part where he's like Anoko wa suimi nyaku ga suki, that girl likes sleeping pills. That's for sure in one of the choruses of the other song. The part about that girl's a monkey, I'm a monkey, we're monkeys. That for sure was taken over. So I love seeing this, even though like we like the song and we're like, oh, what could have been? Part of me just likes seeing it as like a peek into the process.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that stuff. So
it's like that Wolverine cut that leaked on BitTorrent where they hadn't finished the CG. And you just get to see how the movie was made before the final CG was in there.
That is the only version of that film I've ever seen, for the record. Sometimes when I'm watching those Marvel movies, I like stop and think about the fact that they're in front of a green screen. And when you imagine it that way and you see them like making these stupid poses and stuff, it brings like how silly the whole thing is.
Oh, for
sure. It's hard sometimes because they're like 80% green screen.
Right, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna drop another bootleg only recording in here.
Nice, classic Bob.
We already talked about this in a previous episode, but this is their old "Let It Be" live cover. And I knew the lyrics were different because they're in Japanese, but it was so hard to understand. So I found some mega nerds who had translated the lyrics, and this is "Let It Be," but they translate it to "Geri pee," which is I'm assuming just diarrhea pee.
Yeah, pee is the sound of diarrhea coming out of your butt.
Oh, there you go. So it's like the squirting sound of diarrhea coming out, even better. So let's listen to the song
just the way Ringo intended.
Nice.
So you guys can get the vibe of this song. They were playing this also around the same time as the Nakatani Miki song, which came out or they were both being playing like summer, fall 2003. So that's also when the band was like, they'd barely been a band for like 6 months. So this is pretty dang early, a couple years before the record came out, you know? So
yeah.
So I think this song sounds like it could be a very early influence to Ningen, kind of with like the sarcastic, skewering folk song tropes of anti-war music, even kind of weird stuff like that. It's super fucking dark also, like the pure black Getty P repeated at the end a bunch of times.
Yeah, again, like very just the nitty gritty of the being a body, you know?
Yeah, that when he's talking here about like the third nuclear bomb on Japan and stuff like that, yeah, that's pretty bleak, man.
I feel like a lot of those lyrics around them were hella bleak. Nippon Hakyo is a super bleak song.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that particular stanza there. Yeah, that one really is doing. It's really the one that jumps out, you know, and it's doing some real work in this song for sure, for better or worse. Wow, yeah, that is a really bleak verse.
I'm gonna have to share the lyrics before the episode so people can see. I'll have to make a little Google Doc or something.
There's something, and I can't really put this to words well, but I'm gonna try anyway. But there's something like I've been reading a lot of like kind of that post-war literature. A lot of those writers who were writing around, you know, in the like 50s and 60s and stuff, and how just that post-war nihilism that was just rampant in Japan. All these people who had fought this war for no reason, and then the fact that every man thought that he was going to die. Every young man thought he was going to die, and so he'd kind of thrown his life away before the war. And if he had managed to survive it, there was just these kind of crumpled remnants of a life that they didn't really have much to put back together. And prostitutes who were, or like war widows and stuff like that. I'm talking about like reading like Kawabata, or like Oe Kenzaburo and stuff like that. Like they all have this, like that life was cheap and worthless and stuff like that. And that whole idea, like reckoning with war when you've come through the losing side of it and stuff. And of course, this is, Ginnan Boys, they're writing this in the 90s, or the 2000s, so they're, 50, 60 years out from the war. But still, I do think that there is a cultural scar on Japan. There is, the entire country has these inherited scars that will stay with them for a long time about the war. It's still a sensitive thing. But when he's talking about it in this way and kind of making light of it and saying it doesn't, like the line, boku wa kanke nai, right? It's casting it in a different way. It's not like he's saying, I don't give a shit about war and stuff like that. It's more like, there's still people talking about anti-war stuff, but our generation has grown up this cushy lifestyle through the bubble and stuff like that. So, what are you talking to me about anti-war for? It puts a whole different kind of spin on it. So like I said, I can't really put it into some kind of pithy thought or idea, but it's something that's really fascinating to me for sure.
In a way, it to me it seems like Mineta again doing this thing where it's like cutting through a little bit and being very present in kind of like saying what's underneath a little bit. It's like, what does this have to do with my life anymore? A little bit, even though it, it does, and it very much, but he's kind of giving voice to a generation that feels disconnected from it, though, in a way,
Yeah, very much so, very much so. And it's almost this idea, why are we burdened with this? Why should we have to still be carrying this on? When we have our own lives to think about and stuff. I don't know. It's kind of this interesting thing, the burden of history in a way. So,
Adam, I'd love to know, have you heard any other Japanese musicians who've explored similar ideas, whether or not they agree with Mineta, but just kind of being disaffected? I just can't think of stuff off the top of my head.
I can't, to be honest, I can't think of, when it comes to music, I can't think of anything off my top of my head. I mean, for sure, a lot of comic artists and stuff have talked about those themes and stuff, but no, I can't think of anything musically where people talk about those themes.
Maybe that's why Ginnan Boys is still super punk. I guess.
Well, I think it's an evocative statement. I think that that's partially what's going on there, right? He's trying to really kind of touch a third rail a little bit. It seems like, sorry, Adam, you were bringing up that line when it's it doesn't matter to me, but then this statement at the end, which was almost, I don't know if the translation is accurate, but this line, a song against the war, is almost like this weird sarcasm or just so flippant sounding in that verse. He's a song against the war, but he's I don't really care, or is that, am I misreading that?
Well, the translation is not very good. So he says, Senso hantai no uta utattaru wa. So what he's saying is, I'll sing, if this country starts a war, I'll sing an anti-war song.
Gotcha.
But I still feel that same feeling that he has in the what was that one?
Ningen?
Yeah, Ningen. The same feeling where it's this, I guess that's all I can do. I'll sing an anti-war song, but like, you know, it's a powerless kind of thing. But yeah,
Almost resigned.
yeah. But yeah, he says utattaru. So like, I think he's shortening it. I think it's supposed to be utatte So like, it's like a threat. Like I'll sing an anti-war song. Yeah. So it's almost like, yeah.
And then he sings Diarrhea, or The Sound of Diarrhea.
Yeah. But he changes it here where he says makuroke no mama giripi. So it's almost like if I got burned in the bomb, you know, I'll still keep singing Gary P to the gods or whatever. I don't know.
The lyric up here, it's mistranslated, but it's, you know, sing Gary P to the rock gods.
Whoa, that's tight. She is bald to the god of rock. These are the weirdest translations.
Yeah, I was looking at that one. I was like, that can't be right.
Yeah, I don't know
That can't be what
I don't
it's
know what it's going for there. I don't know what it grabbed to like make it think that was what this was. But yeah, anyway, he's saying here, yeah, I'll sing to an angry god of rock, Gary P. And then I mean like diarrhea.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he keeps coming back to that. Like, oh yeah, this is a weird song, dude. There's something else interesting going on here, which is the fact that like there's a huge reverence for the Beatles here in Japan, and the Beatles are kind of like this symbol of like the peace movement in a sense to a lot of Japanese people, to like the counterculture movement here and the student movements of the 60s and stuff. Like the Beatles are kind of the voice of that, and especially like John Lennon. I mean, you know, you guys, if you watch the Olympic opening ceremony, they played Imagine, which was really trite and stupid. But but yeah, so like the fact that they're kind of roasting the Beatles here is also like the Beatles are very much a sacred cow in Japan. And if you were to say that you don't like them or to make fun of them, it would be kind of a lot different than saying that in America, where, you know, like the Meatmen. Was it the Meatmen who wrote that song? Oh no,
2 Down, 2 to Go.
I think the Meatmen wrote a song called like "Fuck the Beatles," but that was I think Charles Bronson wrote like, or no, I think maybe it was Anal Cunt who wrote like 3 Down, 2 to Go or something. I mean, 2 Down, 2 to Go, yeah, whatever it was.
Oh, that's right. About like killing off the Beatles. I forgot about that.
I think that may have been Anal Cunt, but yeah, that was. Oh man,
I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
it's classic.
Classic power violence point perspective.
Yes. I have so many. I prepared so many deep cuts, and a lot of them are kind of whack. So I'm glad I don't have to bring them up. But I'll bring up one that I think you guys probably know, and I feel like some of the listeners might be stoked to hear it. So let's rock this one for a second.
Some of my listeners.
Yeah.
I want you to love me. I need you to leave me. I love you to love me. I shed all my shoes. I put on brand new shirts. I don't like what you say that you love me. Yeah, did I see you crying? Oh, did I see you crying?
That song is so going steady. Like it's so
Yeah.
Boys and Girls era going steady.
Yes.
Yeah,
Totally.
It's pre Sakura Nota.
Adam, I actually had a very similar thought where this sounds exactly like that single that came out between the two Going Steady albums with the Baby Baby Hoshini Negai wo single.
Yeah.
The way the synth is going through the song sounds so much like that. And I think it's a really cool sound. And you guys probably heard our boy Abiko singing the little pre-chorus. And I love that this is like the only other song where he shines like that.
You know what? He has such a nice voice too. Like he's a really good singer on his own. And yeah, I really like when he sings. I love the combination of their two voices. But But yeah, this is totally that like power pop era of Going Steady when they were just making that like, you know, it was very clean, very, very poppy, you know, just cheerful kind of music. I like it. It's cool.
Yeah, it's a good cover, and very much like of an era of Going Steady where it was like the synth added in era, you know, like synth was starting to take like a major like presence in the melodic part of the band.
Yeah.
Can I request a deep cut, Bob, after this one?
What do you want to hear?
The Mega City 4 cover that Going Steady did.
Oh, hell yeah. Good thing I had that one ready to go. The Mega City 4 one, I think is a good one to bring up because it's not on streaming. So
interesting.
There are some folks out there who maybe they've only ever listened to the band on streaming and they never would have heard this otherwise.
It's such a good song, too.
All right, here we go.
Don't break your heart. Don't break your heart. Don't break your heart. Don't break your heart. Sorry about your pain. Keep your head clean. You're my strength to run again.
I haven't heard that. I used to listen to that one all the time on like a mixtape of Going Steady songs that you made for me, Bob, and I haven't heard it like probably since I was in college. Like,
oh damn,
I forgot that song existed, and I really like that one. I forgot how much I liked that song.
That one has such a good like tension in release. Like the build up to that chorus, like it takes a while to get there, and when it gets there, it's such a big release.
Yeah, it's really rewarding for sure. Yeah,
it's funny you mentioned that being. You mentioned "I Want You to Want Me" being like their power pop phase. I feel like this is the later part of their power pop phase, and the songs are still like you can imagine like a sick '80s power pop band playing it, but Mineta's vocals kind of still give it that unhinged edge that always shines through in Going Steady and Ginnan Boys.
And you can hear Abiko just going to town in the background on that. Just like,
oh, absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. Shredding it, just tearing it apart.
Yeah, he's like running up and down that song. Just it's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another cover. We'll bust out a few more old Going Steady covers just to keep it going. But this is another one where Abiko just absolutely shines.
Man, that song reminds me of two things. One, that Lifeball is such a good band. And two, that Going Steady was such a good band. Like, that cover is better. That cover is better than the original, which is
and
so
the original
rare.
Is great.
The original's really good.
The original is awesome.
But like, and you said that, you know, Abiko's going to town on it, but like, they're all going to town on it. Like Murai is killing it. Asai is killing it. And like Mineta's vocals are so just like perfectly there. It has so much energy. It's just like it's just pure rock and roll, like from beginning to end. And that's a song that you couldn't imagine people taking up any further than the original because it was already such a good song.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. It stands as a great song, divorced from it being a cover in a way.
Yeah, it's almost a unique thing. I mean, it still definitely sounds like the original, but like the original has that really cool because it's such a simple stripped down. I mean, like Lifeball is such a simple stripped down band. It's just like a very straightforward kind of thing, but like, and they add like layers and layers of sound to this to make it more like have that Going Steady, like full sound, but still like it's just really, I hadn't heard that before, to be honest. And I really, really like it a lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're killing it on that one.
I think I hadn't heard that song straight up, Bob, since it was probably on a tape in your car, like way back in the day. Honestly, I was like, which song is this? I can't really remember this one. And then when it came to the woo melody, I was like, oh my God. I straight up remember hearing this like on a cassette tape in your car. And probably that was the last time.
That's tight. That's tight.
You know, I tossed a whole bunch of like CDs. A couple years ago, I took out all my CDs and just like, I was like, I'm never going to listen to these because I can stream everything that I have, and CDs aren't worth anything anyway. So I just tossed them all. But one of the only ones that I kept was Life Ball, and I had it on record still, but I was like, I'll keep the CD too. So yeah, that's really good.
I love also tying it back together just for the nerds here. I love that Abiko's first release on Kiri Kiri Vida was the Life Ball. He dropped like a Life Ball's Rarities record.
That's cool.
And
Rocks.
I mean, it's cool because they're like kind of the elder statesmen of that scene. Like they were one of the very first bands doing that Seishun punk, right? Before these guys even arrived. So
yeah, it's like High Standard blew up and Life Ball broke up, but those were kind of like the two OGs at that time.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't think Life Ball got any of the like play overseas like High Standard did. So they were kind of like a hidden gem here.
Yeah. Well, I might as well round out the Going Steady covers with this one right here. This is their holiday cover from the split they did with the band The Holidays, and they each covered one of each other's songs. And before I play this one, or I'll get to this after we play the song. Let's listen to this.
Nice to meet you. Will be crazy. Please about you. Night, night, I tell myself, la 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 la, okay. La 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 la, okay.
You know what Going Steady covers kind of make me think of? They're like a half brother, like where they have like some separate DNA inside of them, but they're still totally like recognizable as like this familiar thing. That song totally sounds like a Going Steady song, but it's still, you can tell that it was written by somebody else.
That's very much how I feel about that Mega City 4 song. Like, they make it sound like them, but there are some choices in the songwriting that I think they wouldn't have made, like structurally. Like, it doesn't necessarily sound like their songwriting, but the way that they render it sounds exactly like them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember I used to play this all the time because I was a big fan of the Friends song of that Going Steady did, and I liked the cover that the Holidays did of that. But
their cover's great.
Yeah,
that is such a good cover. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's a really good. It was a cool song to begin with, but it's a really great cover, and they almost do it better than Going Steady did, to be honest.
あなたは何を笑っていたの見つめていたの泣いていたのあなたは間違いじゃない幻じゃない僕らはそこにいたまるで昨日のように8月の夜空を切り裂き消えた
I was gonna say, I think there's something really special about that split in particular, where both bands bring their absolute A game. Like the Holiday original on there, it's called Your World. That song is good. Their cover of Friends is great, like you said, possibly better than the original. And then Going Steady had Kakenukete Seishun, which is, arguably the best Going Steady song. And then the Holiday cover here is great, as we just heard. So kind of insane, and the only split they ever did. What a great one!
Yeah, and they chose songs that fit right into their own particular wheelhouse, right? So each of them did. So yeah, it's really It's a really special song,
Yeah.
album for sure.
The original version of Friends is so good too, and such like a it stands out on that record on Boys and Girls. It is the noticeably non pop punk song on the record.
Yeah.
But it really kind of like it expands kind of your sense of the band. It really gives a lot more color to those pop punk songs by being on that record. I feel like that emotion in that song and that feel, the kind of like, to me that's very much like indie rock in a straight up like 90s kind of feel, like college rock 90s kind of like,
for sure.
But feels so pure and so like not necessarily punk, but just like musicians saying what they're feeling and like with such emotion. And the Holidays cover of it is so good too, and the way they make it their own is like you said, Adam. It's like it's almost better than the original, and the original is such a good going steady song.
Yeah, it is, and it hit me at the right time in my life because it's sentimental. It's about, and how many songs do you know that are written about your friends? And in that really sweet way where it's like, I'll always be here to welcome you back whenever you guys come back. And so it's like this song about people separating and stuff, and how much the friendships meant to them. And it hit me at that time in my life when, we'd all finished school and we were all scattering about and figuring out our own adult lives and stuff. And so that sentiment was really, really particularly powerful to me at that time.
And once again, the song hit you probably before you really understood what he was saying. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, for sure. Like you can feel the kind of bittersweetness of that song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uncanny. All right, we're really out in the weeds, but that's what this episode's all about. I'm gonna play one more weird song,
All right,
and then we'll wrap it up. But this is this dude called Oroka Mono Potechi, which is like, I don't know, dumbass potato chip, foolish potato chip. He's like a battle rapper. He's a battle rapper, and he had a song on this album where he samples the Ginnan Boys song "Ano ko ni ichimiri demo chokai kaketara koros," and he calls his song the same thing, and it samples that. But then he also has a song where he tapped Abiko, Chin, and Murai to play as his backing band. So that's what this song is called. Or that's what this song is, and it's called Jinrui Kyusai, which is like humanity's salvation or something. Has some kind of apocalyptic overtones to me, but let's hear it.
that riff is totally it's like a Pink Floyd song from their first album, Saucer Full of Secrets. I forgot the name of the song, but that do 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 do.
Well, it was replayed by the Boyz. Here's one of his actual battle raps. You can see some. I definitely cannot understand Japanese battle rap, so let's see.
あらららずいぶん上から目線で調子におろりなんじゃないですか UMB のチャンピオンお前殴ったらポコポココインが出るよわかる俺はスーパーマリオお前はブロックあのハテナマーク疑問に変えてやるお前のスキルヌタ帳全部ここで尽きる僕ら
All right, whatever.
Dude, I love the Japanese battle rap. This is a great subculture I never knew existed.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Dude, same.
It's this. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, there's probably people who are really good, but I'm not sure if he's one of them.
We gotta. We should all emerge as Japanese language battle rappers.
Oh man,
Dude, that'd be so sick. I would love to see Adam like like battling some dudes, being like a good like half foot taller than a lot of other rappers, and just like saying some bugged out shit in Japanese, dude, you'd be so funny.
If I could get that stuff coming off the top of my dome like that, man. Although it doesn't seem like they have to like rhyme or be rhythmic, at least according to that dude. So I guess I could just be saying stuff.
Just go.
Yeah. I'm glad that you showed that to me. That's a good way to end this, just on a totally weird note that doesn't make any sense.
Let me play you the song where he samples Ginnan Boys, because it's equally bugged out. It kind of reminded me of that dude Irurime, Ilream.
Oh yeah.
Who Mike, who we saw at that festival.
Ilream. Yeah, I remember that.
This guy's name is awesome.
Dude, what do you think about his graph logo right here?
It's like the Comic Sans of graffiti, dog. Oh man.
All right, here we go.
Shake your booty now.
All right, I feel like that's enough of that.
That's a pretty dope beat, but I don't know what to say about it, man. It's a pretty dope beat. I don't know what else to say.
I like the shake your booty part.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for listening. Adios, people.
Later.
Peace.